Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is official episode 2. So today what we're making is an egg extravaganza, so everything eggs. We're going to make some mini egg souffles as well as some deviled eggs. So yeah, remember we do everything basic style, so this is just for you to enjoy at home, whether it's by yourself or with your family or your friends, or maybe you want to impress your boyfriend or your girlfriend for breakfast. So here we go. Today I'm starting on the opposite way, so ingredients last, but first you're going to need one pan actually and one pot. So you can just use a simple small pot. I have no idea what circumference this is, but it's a small pot, and then just a medium-sized frying pan. Then you will need an oven-safe tray. As you can see, I have mine over here. That's my oven-safe tray. Now, don't mind these are just my little cups that I'm going to use, because ideally you should use a muffin tray if you have a muffin tray, but because I have no idea where our muffin tray is, I'm going to use these. These little cups I got at Pick and Pay, so you get them in a pack and you get quite a bit of them, probably more than 20. So we're just going to do 5 mini souffles today. So on top of those, I'm just going to use these. Okay, so these should be familiar to almost anyone. These are these little cupcake holders. So also these you can get at any store, Pick and Pay, Spar, etc. But if you have a muffin tray, you really don't need this. So I'm just going to use this to put on the inside of my little silver holder bowls, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. First things first, before we move on to our actual ingredients, we're going to do a prep around the stove. So the first prep that we're going to do is in the small pot. I'm gonna just go ahead and open it up, and you're gonna take some water, just water from the tap or from your kettle, and just pour it in. So I've basically put my water about halfway through the pot. And what we're going to do with this is we're simply going to boil eggs. Now you're going to want these eggs to be hard boiled, because you'll see later we're going to do a little something with the yolk. So once your water is in, go ahead and switch on your stove. And then I'm going to put my burner on a 5 so it heats up quite quickly. And I'm going to put the lid back on so that, you know, it gets to a boil even quicker. So now I'm going to grab some eggs. Okay, here I have my eggs. I'm only going to boil 3 eggs, so this is a meal for 2 that I'm creating. Now remember that you can adjust your portions or your quantities rather to suit however many people you're trying to feed. I'm only trying to feed 2 right now, so I'm just going to do 3 eggs in there. I know some people will say wait for the water to boil and then, you know, put the egg in, you know, with a spoon or whatever. No. Too complicated for me. I'm basic, so this is what I'm going to do. Perfect. So we're going to leave that, and then we will get back to it when it starts to boil. When it starts to boil, we will time it, and I'm going to cook them for about 6 minutes after boiling point. That should ensure that it's quite nice and hard, so that we can do what we intend to do with the eggs. All right, now we'll go on to the next step. So while I wait for my eggs to boil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put on my oven. We're going to need an oven for these basic mini souffles. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Make sure your heat is sitting at a good 180 degrees. Turn the oven on. And that's perfect. That's our preheating stage. So we're just going to preheat that oven at 180 degrees. And then now onto the actual prep. Okay, so onto our ingredients. In the background you can hear my oven, I'm sure. That's our oven preheating. We're still waiting for the eggs to come to a boil before we start to time them. So while we wait for that, now we move on to the rest of our dish. So over here for our souffle, our egg souffle, mini souffles, we're gonna just use 4 eggs. As I said, I'm making meal for two, so as always adjust to your liking. Then you're gonna need 1 onion. That should do the trick for our purposes. Then you need some mushrooms as well. You can get your mushrooms whole or already chopped like these, but we are gonna chop them even finer than what they are right now, so no worries about the type of mushroom that you have. Then you're just gonna need another empty bowl. You'll see why a little bit later. Alright, so that's it for the main sort of ingredients. Then what we're going to do is to season our egg with some salt. Again, this one is Herbamare from Discount, but you can use any salt that you have in your kitchen. And then black pepper as well. I prefer coarse black pepper, but I suppose whatever black pepper you have at your disposal will be great as well. Then you will definitely need some oil. Here's my oil. I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil today, but once again, ladies and gents, you can use any kind of oil that you have. Just always make sure you don't use too much oil, because there's nothing worse than, you know, your oil taste overpowering the food taste. Then next we're going to need some mayonnaise. Okay, this one is salad cream, certain salad cream from Woolworths. It essentially tastes like mayonnaise though. But what you do want, what's best would be mayonnaise. So any mayonnaise that you have at your disposal or that you can get a hold of, perfect. Then you will also need some feta cheese. So here's my feta cheese. Mine's a medium fat feta cheese, but you can use any kind of feta cheese that you like. That's what mine looks like. I know there's also flavored feta cheeses. You're more than welcome to use one that's flavored, whatever suits your taste buds. Then you're going to need some milk. Okay, I'm using some lactose-free, no-lact milk, because I'm lactose intolerant. But you will see me cook with some dairy products. I know, I mean, that I have another dairy product here, so sometimes I make the sacrifice, but given the choice, I try to stay away from lactose as much as possible. Okay, so then the next thing that you're going to need is some cheese. There's the lactose. I'm going to be using Gouda cheese. I love cheese. Yeah, I know, it's ironic. Gouda cheese for me, but you can use any cheese that you like essentially. Ooh, there we go, our eggs are starting to boil, so now we're going to time them to about 6-7 minutes. Okay, then after the Gouda cheese, alright, you can use any kind of cheese you like. There's a lot of different types of cheeses, but try not to use like a mozzarella or a blue cheese or a brie. Try not to use those because they are a bit more delicate and they are a bit more defined in taste. I mean, they have very specific tastes, so you don't really want to have your taste altered that much when it comes to this. But again, the choice is yours. If you really prefer to use one of those cheeses, then be my guest. Last but not least, I'm just gonna add some fresh parsley to mine. You really don't have to do that. That's just my little bit of extra zhuzh. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna chop the mushrooms finely. We're gonna dice the onion, and then we're gonna go ahead and beat these 4 eggs into this bowl. Alright, let's go. Okay, so now we have our eggs in the bowl. We have our mushrooms nice and chopped up. So we didn't use all those mushrooms that just were in the pack. I used maybe just a little bit over a quarter. So I don't know how many mushrooms this makes, but my guess would be about 4 or 5-ish, maybe 5. Yeah, it looks like 5. Then the 1 onion as well, we diced that, so we're done there. Now these 2 ingredients are going to go into a frying pan in a bit, but first we're just going to beat these eggs. So I'm going to add some salt to it. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of salt in there. Mix it all up. Lovely, lovely. Then I'm going to add some black pepper. Perfect. Alright. You can add as much black pepper as you like. It's up to you. We all have different palates, so just be mindful of your own palate, and that should do the trick. Then I'm going to go ahead and put in just a little bit of milk into my mix. So I'll say maybe 50 to 100 milliliters in essence. Remember, I'm going off the top of my head. So just be sure not to put too much, but put just enough so that you're gonna get like a fluffy type of consistency when you're done. Alright, so we're done with that. I'm just gonna set this to the side, and I'm gonna cover it up so that we don't get flies all over it, because wow, summer comes with so many flies. Okay, so another thing now is that our eggs are done boiling. So all I did is set them to the side and put them in cold water. So get rid of the hot water and then just put them in cold water, because you want to peel eggs when they're a little bit cooled down. If you try to peel them while they're hot, that's when you kind of mess them up and you lose half your egg whites. Okay, so now on to the next step. Okay, so now here we are back at our stove. So now I'm going to take the lid off the next pot, which is actually a frying pan. I'm going to turn up my heat on the frying pan, and I've put my heat on a 5 so it gets hot quite quickly, but as time goes then I will start to reduce the heat so that my stuff doesn't burn. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my olive oil, and we're going to put some olive oil in there. Once again, not a lot, but just enough. There we go. So I'm going to let that heat up, and then we're going to fry the onions and the mushrooms in that. Quick fry. Alright. Okay, we're on a nice heated plate, so now we can add the onions as well as the mushrooms all at once. I am the queen of spill. I always get my stuff everywhere. But don't mind me. As long as most of it ends up in the pan, then our job is half done. It's going. Look at the queen of spill. There she goes. I'm like the worst at stirring. I don't know why. Okay. So now we fry that up. So I'm going to turn down my heat just a little bit to freeze, because I don't want this to burn before it releases its lovely flavors. Beautiful. Now, just for extra flavor, and you don't have to do this step, choice is absolutely up to you, but I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce once it starts to cook. You can see all the steam coming up. But yeah, I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce for flavor, but that's just my preference. You really don't have to, and it's not necessarily a part of the recipe. And if you're going to add soy sauce, make sure you don't add too much, because it's going to go into the egg. You don't want it to discolor the egg or overpower the taste of the other ingredients. So yeah, up to you. So I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and then while I wait for that to finish, I'm going to grate some cheese and chop up some feta cheese. So yep, come join me. Okay, so now I'm going to let this fry for another 5 minutes or so. And yeah, let's go get the cheese. So just onto a paper plate for me, but you can use anything that you have or like. I'm just going to grate some cheese onto my plate. And I'll be using the thin side of my grater, but feel free to use any side that you prefer on your grater. And we're just going to grate just enough cheese. Remember, I love cheese. Ironic, but I do love cheese, so I'm going to grate quite a bit for my eggs. So I'll show you in a minute just how much I've grated, so you can kind of have an idea, you know, ballpark figure. Okay, so that should do the trick. I'm gonna put it back in my Ziploc. Yeah, that's another trick. Ziplocs, very good for not drying out your foods. So my cheese always in a Ziploc bag because it does harden if it's just left out to dry. Okay, so let's have a look. That's how much cheese I've grated. So yeah, you can kind of just use that as a by the way. Okay, just try and get all the little bits out because no waste in Mzansi. Perfect. Now that's not it. That is not it, ladies and gentlemen, because now we are going to chop up feta. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab another paper plate because dishes. And then we're going to go ahead and, remember that feta cheese, open it up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just grab a piece inside here. There we go. Just set it right there. Close that right up again. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my knife and just start to cut up this cheese. So you want it in sort of little bits. So first I'm going to cut it vertically, and then I'm going to cut the vertical pieces horizontally. So downwards and sideways. You see? Some of the things we do learn in high school come in handy. It makes you sound a little bit smarter. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if you can see, but just teeny tiny pieces just like that should do the trick. You can make them even smaller if you like. Totally up to you, but I'm just going to make them like this because I love to taste my feta cheese. So I don't want it to just kind of wither away or sort of absorb into all the other flavors. Alright, perfect. Nice and diced up. And that's it for the feta cheeses and everything. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch off our mix over here. And just to show you what we're working with now, you see, it's looking like a whole meal on its own. So cute. Alright, now we're about to assemble. So we're going to start to put the souffles together and then we can pop them in the oven. Okay, so assembly point. So here what I've done is I have just gone ahead and put a little bit of oil inside here because it helps when my little cupcake things come in to keep them down, because otherwise they just pop right back up. So there we go, I've got my little cupcake things in there. So swirl, if you're going to use these, just swirl the oil around. If you're using a muffin tray, same thing, make sure you put some oil in each little hole. I don't even know what they're called. But make sure you put some oil. You can just move it around with a brush if you have a brush. I know I have a brush here somewhere, but I'm being basic and lazy, but here we go. I've got one of these brushes. So yeah, they also tend to help to just swirl around, but you can essentially use absolutely anything and it'll make zero difference to the quality of your meal. Okay, almost there, almost there. Last two. last one. Perfecto. Oh. So beautiful 5. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to pinch that against the sides. Pinch against the sides. To try and get a better shape out of it. Okay. Well, this is as good as it's going to get. Alright. Perfect. Now we start to put in the ingredients. So first I'm going to start with our lovely mix. So I'm going to put that at the base of each one. Just a little bit at the base. A little bit at the base. Great. Spread it around so that it kind of is hitting evenly across everything. Great stuff, right? Perfect. Okay. Next step, egg. So I'm going to get rid of this fork because it's not going to do any justice. And what I'm actually going to do is to look for a spoon. Here we go, perfect spoon, you know, the ones with the depth in it. So now I'm going to put a bit of egg in each one. So some egg in here, some egg in there, some egg in here, some egg in there, and some egg in there. Ooh, a little bit more egg in there, huh? You can't be stingy now. There we go. Okay, we have a little bit of egg left in there, which is perfectly fine. We don't want it too full because we still have a few more things to add. So the first thing that we're going to add now is our feta. We're just going to pop some feta cheeses in each one. Again, to suit your own taste buds. I'm popping about 4 to 5 cubes in each one. Okay, that should do it. Now we're going to put a little bit more of our mix over the top of this. If you have ham or bacon or something and you want to put it in, just make sure you chop it finely and you can totally add that. Okay, last one. There we go. Perfect. Now we're going to top it off with our beautiful cheese. I'm going to put cheese on top there. Yum, yum, yum. Some cheese. Some more cheese. We're still going to use some more cheese in the end. Don't worry about it. Looks like a lot of cheese right now. But I feel like one can never have too much cheese, but that's just me. Okay, perfect. Okay, give this one a little bit more cheese. Okay, beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 cube of feta on top of each one of these lovely things of mine. Just one. Perfect. Now, last but not least, I'm going to put parsley now and parsley again later because this parsley is going to cook. So see, just makes it look pretty. It's going to cook. So then we're just going to sprinkle fresh parsley again on the top when it's done so that you still have that bright green, freshly green kind of color. Okay, last 2. Here we go. That's going to create some flavor as well. Perfect. Now we're done with that. Just get rid of the excess cheese. And now we can pop these in the oven. Whew, they are hot. Okay, oh yeah, because my stove is on. Okay. In the oven, remember your oven is on a good 180 degrees Celsius. And now we wait. Okay, so as you can see now, I've gone ahead and peeled my eggs. So we're gonna create those deviled eggs that we spoke about. So now with just a smaller knife, you don't need as big as a knife as we were using before. You are going to cut the eggs in half, right? So you can choose to either cut them long ways or short ways, but I'm gonna choose to cut them long ways. So cut your eggs in half, all of them. There we go. Let's have a sip of that. Good, good, good. All right. So now the next thing that we're gonna do is to take a teaspoon and actually dig out your egg yolks. So you remember that extra bowl we had in the beginning? This is where it comes in handy. So just dig out your egg yolk into the bowl. There we go. There's lots of different ways to make these deviled eggs, and some people even deep fry the egg white afterwards, but it's gonna take me way too much time. And now I am starving, so I'm ready to try and eat. My souffles are rising nicely. Let's hope they come out nice. Okay, perfect. So now that we've scooped all of that out, I'm gonna take this fork and actually just mush them. Mush, 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 mush these egg whites. And then I'm going to add my salt and pepper. I just said egg whites, didn't I? No, egg yolks. Mush the egg yolk. Then we go in with some salt to your taste buds. No pressure here. Then our black pepper. Again, to suit your taste bud. And you can just taste as you go along as well, so you know if you've put in enough or too much. It's always difficult once you put in too much of something to try and undo it. So if you're not too sure with your quantities, rather go slow than fast. Rather put in less taste and then, you know, put in some more if it's necessary. I'm just gonna put this to the side. This was for something else. Sorry about that. So now we're gonna go in with our mayonnaise. Mine's a salad cream, if y'all remember, but mayonnaise is ideal. Okay. So here we go. I'm gonna put about 2 or 3. Let's see, not 2.5. 2.5 tablespoons. And then I'm gonna go back in and just mix everything together. There we go, brilliant. That was actually a perfect amount, because you don't want it with too much like of your mayo, and then it's like your egg whites basically don't exist anymore when you're eating mayonnaise. So mix it all up nice and perfectly. Once it's mixed up, give it a taste to see if you like it. Love it. I think it tastes brilliant. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my fork because I no longer need it. I'm gonna grab a fresh spoon and I'm literally going to transfer this back into the egg white. So just grab one at a time and just take a spoonful and put in. You'll put more obviously later once you're done and you're sure that there's enough for every single egg. Here we go. You cannot go wrong with this, like ever. It's not very good in terms of calories, but for taste, yeah. And I don't cook for calories, guys. I don't calorie count. So it'll be very hard for me to tell you how many calories are in everything. So if you're watching your weight, maybe just rather watch videos where I'm preparing salads or take my smoothie tips, which I will be doing as well. So yeah. Alright, here we go. So that's just about enough for every single one. I'll just top off this one and another one. Great, so those are done. So now we're gonna go and have a look at
Here we are, guys. This is what our souffles look like out the oven now. I think they're done. They look amazing. So now it's time for us to plate. Okay guys, so as you can see, we've got our deviled eggs on the plate. I've garnished the actual deviled eggs with some fresh basil, and then on the side is just baby spinach and mint with 2 slanted carrots. So this one is our extra souffle. You can see how it is. We have to do a taste test with it, so it's looking good, tasting good. Now, as you can see, the rest of the souffles are here, still inside their little pink cupcake holders. So we have to let them cool, otherwise the paper doesn't remove that easily. So we're letting them cool a bit, not too much though, just, you know, kind of warm instead of hot, so that we can actually remove the paper easily. And these souffles cook for about 15 to 20 minutes at the most. So you just watch them and make sure they don't burn. Once they start to go a little bit crisp around the edges and browning over the top, then you know that you are pretty much done. You can always stick a knife through it if you like, just to make sure that it's not wet on the inside. It's a good way to test. So now we can plate everything and finish up. Okay, so here we go. We're done with our deviled eggs and our souffles. Everything came out looking amazing, to say the least. So now, just to finish off, we're gonna take that leftover onion and mushroom that we created, and we're just gonna plop it in the center of our dish. It's gonna make for a really good type of garnishy thing. Burger garnish that you definitely want to eat with your eggs. And just like that. Perfect. Put that away. Then we kept a little bit of cheese on the side, if you remember. And now we're going to utilize that. Ta-da! So I'm going to add 2 Feta cubes on top of our beautiful mix of onion and mushroom. Then on top of the actual souffles, we're just gonna cheese it up. Just nice and cheesy. Et voila. Okay, then to top it all off, remember I said we're gonna use some parsley again. So here's our last little bit of greenery. It's just gonna give it an edge at the top. And you're more than welcome to garnish with anything else that you would like to garnish with. Some of you are probably way better cooks than I am, so you probably have a whole lot of other tips and tricks that you can maybe even teach me, or anything you'd like to suggest. Just drop it in the comments and it'll be awesome to hear from you guys. So that's it, our meal is done, and now we can actually dig in. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, all done, looking beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and if you liked it, please leave a thumbs up for me, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell button, and I'll be creating way more videos like this for you.